What if I told you that 20 years ago, Ford built a Mustang so powerful, so insane, that it could have made supercars run for cover? A car that never saw the light of day, yet could have changed the course of muscle car history forever. Hey car enthusiasts, welcome to another episode. Today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing stories in Mustang history, the 1999 V10 Boss 351 prototype. Buckle up, because this tale is wilder than a Mustang in an open field. Let's turn back the clock to the late 90s. The fourth generation Mustang, introduced in 1994, was, well, let's be honest, it was forgettable. Outdated chassis, generic styling, lack of performance, it wasn't exactly Ford's finest hour. From today's perspective, the fourth generation Mustang is one of the most forgettable iterations of the iconic nameplate. The styling was forgettable, and the good old Fox platform carried on from the previous generation, with its origins dating back to the 1970s. With the 145 horsepower six-cylinder, the base version was, and still is, one of the worst Mustangs ever made. The V8 powered GT was much better, but still way behind its contemporary rival Chevy Camaro in pretty much every aspect. As we got closer to the end of the decade, Ford finally started rolling out performance-oriented variants like the excellent SVT Cobra, while the Mach 1 arrived a few years later. Although great, these models were still overshadowed by rivals from General Motors, such as the Chevy Corvette. But behind closed doors, Ford's engineering department, the Blue Oval, had a wild idea. What if they could create a Mustang that could not only compete with the Dodge Vipers and Chevy Corvettes of the world, but leave them in the dust? In 1994, this team of engineers at Ford, led by Kevin Bird, yeah, the guy from Two Guys Garage, embarked on a Skunkworks project that would make any car lover's heart race. This project wasn't just about making another muscle car. This was Ford's shot at supercar territory. These engineers didn't want just raw power. They wanted something refined and precise, something light, something that could put the Mustang into supercar territory. The only way to do that was to develop a completely new engine with drastic changes in the design approach. And the best part? They did it all on their own time, with virtually no budget. Talk about passion. The management wasn't particularly thrilled with this idea. In fact, they didn't invest a single cent into this project. The company's performance divisions, Ford Racing and SVT SVE, didn't participate either. Now, Ford had a V10 engine, but it was a massive 6.8-liter beast meant for trucks. It was too big, too tall to fit in a Mustang. So these scientists got a little bit more creative. They decided to build something never seen before in a Mustang, a high-revving aluminum block V10 that could fit under the hood of America's favorite pony car. The heart of this beast was a 5.8-liter, 351 cubic inch, aluminum block, dual overhead cam V10. But here's the kicker. They built it by essentially cutting and pasting two 4.6-liter V8s together. Talk about thinking outside the box. They started with the 4.6-liter block from the standard Mustang, an 8-cylinder engine. And how do you make it a V10? By sawing off the front of the engine and mating it to another 4.6-liter unit. They took the cylinder head from the Cobra R, the dual overhead unit, because that was the best piece of engineering Ford had back in the day. It was a piece of aluminum that guaranteed the engine could stand way over 400 horsepower. This Frankenstein's monster of an engine pumped out 426 horsepower at 6,500 revolutions per minute and 400 pounds of torque at 5,200 revolutions per minute. It could scream all the way up to 7,000 revolutions per minute. Not your typical muscle car behavior. But the real challenge was the ECU. Ford didn't have anything that would work with this Frankenstein engine. So what did our intrepid engineers do? They figured out that the Triton's ECU may not work with the new engine, but two of them could. They wired up two ECUs, each controlling one side of the engine. Essentially, it was like two engines in one. The engine control computers think they're running two i5s because Ford didn't have a V10 computer that would work. Talk about creative problem solving. After months of after-hour work, the engine was done. They found an old 1999 Cobra R mule, took out the 5.4-liter 4-valve, and dropped in their new 6.1-liter creation. The best part? It fits like a glove. And although slightly bigger, it was actually 60 pounds lighter than the iron block 5.4-liter Cobra R unit. They paired it with a T56 Tremec 6-speed manual, a Ford 9-inch rear end, and a 3.83 final drive ratio. From the outside, it looked like a slightly modified 99 Cobra R, Saleen 5-spoke wheels, a Cobra hood, and that's about it. It was the ultimate sleeper, a supercar killer in muscle car clothing. Now, let's talk about performance. This beast churned out 426 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. On the drag strip, it could run the quarter mile in just 11.5 seconds, at a speed close to 120 miles per hour. For comparison, a typical Mustang GT of the era would normally go around 13.7 seconds, while the best supercharged Cobra ever did was 12.83 seconds at 110 miles per hour. Imagine a Mustang that shimmies with power at idle, has a clutch that requires an NFL linebacker's leg strength, and a shifter throw 3 times longer than a modern car. Yet, once you're moving, it's a beast. The power comes on strong, even in lower revs, but hit 5,000 RPM, and it feels like the whole car might shake apart. So, we have this incredible V10 Mustang prototype that's faster and more powerful than anything in Ford's lineup. Happy ending, right? Well, not quite. Despite its impressive performance, the Boss 351 never made it to production. Ford management wasn't thrilled with the idea, citing production costs, limited sales potential, and regulatory compliance issues. Plus, with the 4th-gen Mustang nearing the end of its life cycle, the timing just wasn't right. From this time distance, it's obvious that the management wasn't aware of the importance of the Boss 351. Or maybe they simply did not have enough courage to risk it, because traditional customers were already happy with V8's performance. If Ford had greenlit this project, it could have changed the muscle car landscape. Imagine a V10 Mustang competing with the likes of the Viper in the early 2000s. It might have elevated the Mustang brand to new heights and paved the way for even more exotic Ford projects. For one reason or another, Ford missed a big opportunity to create an eternal icon, a legend that would live up to these days, and possibly establish a new design approach that would elevate Mustang as a brand to the next level. The Blue Oval Company had a chance to give to the world one of the most iconic models of the era, but instead, all we have is a good story to remember. The 1999 V10 Boss 351 Mustang remains a testament to the passion and creativity of Ford's engineers. It's a reminder of a time when Skunkworks projects could still happen, when a small team could create something truly special after hours and on a shoestring budget. So what do you think about the Boss 351 prototype? Is this one of the biggest mistakes Ford has ever made? What would modern-day Mustangs look like if this V10 monster was ever released? Let us know in the comments. And that'll be it for today. If you enjoyed this dive into automotive history, why not hit that subscribe button and ring the bell? That way, you can enjoy more content like this in the future. Until next time, keep your engines running and your eyes on the horizon. See ya!